Hello. Almost a year ago, I made a video walking through the streets of Seattle, and I showed what's around here and how things are going. And it's been a long time. People keep asking me, how is it since then? Has it gotten worse? Has it gotten better? What's going on? So I'll do it again, and I'll make some points about what's been going on in the city since then. So first point I want to make, right behind me, you can already see huge new buildings are going up behind me. 3 of them right here just got done. And that's the first thing I want to mention, is that you may have thought that in the last 2 years, it's been a long time, and there were so many economic problems, lockdowns and whatnot, and you would think some steam comes out from the construction boom here in Seattle, but no. The city just kept pushing through, and in fact so much was built. You're seeing here yet another one. This in front of me, behind it here, another one there, and this one here. All these buildings are brand new. And in fact, this entire neighborhood here is called Gemini Triangle, and you keep seeing them behind there. All these buildings are almost brand new. Many of them have been built in the last 2 years, or even just the last year. Like this one is still being worked on. And that's the first point I want to make. Seattle did not have an economic crash. Yes, there were problems. Yes, some businesses struggled. Some of them even shut down, like restaurants and others that depend on walk-in traffic to survive. They were in seriously bad conditions, but Seattle overall is so well off economically because of all the companies that are based here that there was no real economic crash here. In fact, the city is brand new and shiny. That's encouraging. That's really encouraging because, you know, many cities went down to dire conditions in the last 2 years. And it looked at first in 2020, early on, that Seattle is going to be one of them. However, it recovered very quickly. And right now it looks quite nice. So I'll keep going through the city and show you what's going on here. Here is, for example, this Gemini Triangle neighborhood. Brand new buildings everywhere. You know what they say in the USA? Build it and they will come. And they did build it. So see another one going right up there. So yeah, the developers built everything here is taken. No more empty lots almost remain. And I don't know what the occupancy is like because we don't know yet. Our companies coming back to work, what's going on. However, I do know that many companies are telling their employees to return to the office in March, which is in a couple of weeks. And they said that many times before, but I think this time is for sure or for real, or they really mean it. And they will at least try. So it could be that this whole area here comes back to life very soon. And when people start arriving, they will be seeing what it's like here. Most of what you see at this point is construction. There is not much other evident stuff going on right now. Here on this side to the right, we have a brand new children's hospital in downtown Seattle. It was just finished recently. On this side, buildings going up, skyscrapers, 40-something floors. This here is a new lot fenced off. It's about to become a big office building. The sign is graffitied, but it looks like 11-story or something like that. All these are rather new, but they were finished before the lockdowns. But on this side, everything was finished after the lockdown. So yeah, you can see here, Gemini Triangle is almost complete. Huge development with 40-something square buildings, and I think 40-something is actually the maximum for this part of town. So they're using every bit of allowance that they have from the regulators to build more and more and more. And so you see, this is not a bust. It's not even stagnation or normal. We're still in a huge boom where all around downtown Seattle are built skyscrapers, and in every single neighborhood in Seattle are built many, many units for residents. There are many condos, there are many apartments, there are many houses, and especially townhouses are everywhere now. And some, less and less these days, single residence units, I think they call them. Less and less are being built. In fact, in some neighborhoods, they'll take out one house with a yard and place 6 townhouses instead of it. So you see what's going on. The density is going through the roof. Investments is in probably hundreds of billions, if not more. So economically, Seattle is doing very well. Now we can walk through and see how it is doing, socially, whether the homelessness is still a big issue, whether crime is still some kind of issue, and what downtown looks like. Cranes on this side, brand new tower going up. Now I'm moving towards the core of downtown Seattle. I'm kind of on the fringe between Denny Triangle and downtown. And I'm transitioning. So I think on my right is the police station, or at least one of its buildings. Right here it looks like someone's camping right by the police station. No problems. With that, I guess nobody seems to mind, or at least no effort is to dislodge. But the new mayor has said that there will be an effort in that regard, and there have been a few sweeps in some parks. But downtown was swept a lot earlier, like I talked about in my video from last year. They were already sweeping downtown, and a lot of people went and set up camps farther away from the city in the residential neighborhoods pretty much. And now there's an uproar about that, so they are sweeping the neighborhoods as well at this point, I think. You see here more and more glass towers. This is pretty much the new kind of development which has been built in Seattle for the last 10 years. Just about everywhere there's free space in downtown. They expanded downtown to include another 2 areas, one called South Lake Union, where Amazon built a lot, and then this one I just showed you called Denny Triangle, and that's the newest. Denny Triangle is the newest. Right here I'm coming up on Amazon's headquarters, the main one in downtown, but Amazon is so large that it has something like 50 buildings, at least before the lockdown. It did in downtown Seattle. So it's not just one part of town, they've now spread across downtown. And it's hard to keep up with them. Actually, I can reveal now, I used to work for Amazon for 5 years, which is common here in Seattle. I didn't move to Seattle to work for Amazon like many more people did. I was already here for over a decade when they offered me a job. They recruited me. And so I was part of that, the Amazon boom and so on. I quit just now in December, and I have a new employer, so I can open up and talk a bit more about Amazon. I don't like to mix my social media and my employment normally, because nothing good can come out of that. But yeah, I was just working for Amazon, and I will show you exactly where I used to work and what that is like. Here it is right ahead of me. This is the building by Amazon called Doppler, and that is the building I used to work in. Right across the street, if you see in the back there, are the Spheres. So yeah, my building was right next to the big biodome where it's tropical all year long. And I was up there. I think I kept moving around, but the last office I had was on the 13th floor in this building. It's a quite nice building, there's a lot in it. And if Amazon does bring people back next month, it will be crowded here again. You see, right now it's Sunday, and it's also, I think the policy is still loose, but as long as they say to return and it's not a weekend, this whole thing fills up right here. Here's some big part of the Amazon campus. So yeah, this tower is 40-something floors, and it's one of 50 that they had at least before, or 60 at the point of the lockdown. Now, on this side we have more Amazon buildings, a little newer. This one there was completed a while before the lockdown, I think maybe a year or so. And on this side are the Spheres. That's one thing I miss about working for Amazon, is being able to go inside the Spheres. I used to have my pass, and that way I was able to go into the Spheres anytime I want. And it could be cold like right now, but inside you can probably see it's tropical. So I would go in there with my laptop and do my reading or my emails or coding, whatever you want, in a tropical environment. It was great for that. This building here is called Day One, and the one called Day One is normally where Jeff Bezos works whenever he does come into the office, which is not always, but he does. So yeah, this is the workplace of Jeff Bezos officially. More and more Amazon buildings have been built. This blue one in the back, I haven't even been inside of because it was finished after the lockdown. Here we have the first Amazon Go ever. This was the beta version pretty much right here. And what's special about Amazon Go is that you walk out, you don't check out. That was the first time they did that in this store right here. It was quite nice. I've been shopping that way for almost 5 years at this point without cashiers. It's very convenient. Once you get used to it, you never want to wait in line. So here now I'm approaching buildings that I've never been inside of. This one, and this one is the first time I'm even seeing it right here. I don't know what it's like. I do know, I think this is the building which had some inspiration from a treehouse design, and I think it also was supposed to contain a greenhouse inside. I don't know if they went through with that. It's called Frontier. Yeah, I've not been inside this one. I still have plenty of friends here who can probably let me inside and see how it is these days. So see, someone's going to work on a Sunday. Poor guy. Yeah, that's one part of Amazon I don't miss. You know, they work people hard. But you see how this is kind of open in the middle. So, and yes, there are some green things inside. So I think at least the plan when I was looking at the design was that it's somewhat of a greenhouse inside. So it looks like on the ground level here they have a little patch of ferns and whatnot. I bet you inside there's more green. Overall, that is what's happening here. This is kind of in between downtown and South Lake Union. South Lake Union is in that direction beyond that building where Amazon initially moved in the downtown area. It built a lot there. It outgrew that really fast. And then it built all these towers I just showed you, in addition to the 30-somewhat buildings over there, where the white building is the rest of the Amazon campus. But this time, I'm going to kind of loop around this way and see what's going on. You can see there's a new Whole Foods market in the back there, the black sign. So they've expanded. Here, more towers are going up where this fence is right here. And that's going to be, I think they're identical to these two. So more condos pretty much. I know people are buying, or some have bought penthouses up there with amazing views. So it's kind of luxury condos going up here, right next to the Amazon office. For people who want to live at work practically, the perfect solution. If you think living next to work is a little extreme, there's a Google office down there where I started almost, where they actually have apartment buildings inside the Google office, and that's the main office for Seattle. So they're actually moving employees to live inside the office, which to me is really not a good idea, you know. Your manager comes knocking on your door at 10 o'clock, right as you're having a beer and a joint and wants you to do some stuff, or if you're not opening the door, he pages you and you have no excuse because he can hear your pager ringing inside. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, Google is putting people to live inside their office buildings. Pretty wild. One thing I want to point out here, you see here is where I was at the Amazon buildings. I'm really close to where all these buildings went up, and you see I'm standing on a parking lot, and this is one of the very last parking lots in all of Seattle left in the core in downtown, because there were many of them exactly where I just walked, Denny Triangle and so on. There were many of these parking lots, and that's what the developers bought up to build all these buildings, many parking lots. And that was, I guess, when Seattle was not that booming and not all the space was being so well utilized. so that they had empty space like this. But this is almost the last one I can think of, maybe the very last. And they were going to build here. Amazon wanted this one. For some reason, they canceled out of that. And there used to be a sign that says they're going to make a data center here, but now the sign is gone and the parking lot is still here, so they gave up for some reason. Here you can see the rails for the Seattle monorail going above. This was the first monorail in the world, I believe, which sadly in Seattle's case was kind of a sample, a demo, 2 stops only, so it goes back and forth, one thing. And they never expanded it. 3 times the citizens wanted to expand it and voted for it. It was even funded somewhat, and it was never built, never even started to expand. So that's a bit of a bummer. We had to wait another like 5 decades before we got the light rail. But now the light rail is getting bigger and bigger. I've made videos about that, and you can see the light rail if you look it up in our channel if you're interested in the transit system in Seattle. I am now transitioning to a neighborhood called Belltown. Belltown is an interesting neighborhood because it was the first neighborhood in Seattle which was gentrified. It was adjacent to downtown, it still is. So for that reason it had a very desirable location, and you can see condos and stuff were built here over the last 20-30 years already. So this was the beginning really of the overhaul of Seattle, and you can see still problems remain here. I think simply the proximity to downtown causes them, but there's still some space, and the location is so great. You see the Space Needles in the back there. The sea is that way, downtown is that way, and all are within 5 to 10 minutes of walking. And such a location is so great that this neighborhood is bound to be built up and expensive more and more and more. I will walk now through Belltown a bit. I will show you what that is like on a Sunday afternoon, and then I'm gonna head into the center of downtown Seattle, Westlake, where it's really all converging. From there I'm gonna go into Pike Place Market and show you what the market is like these days, and maybe reach the waterfront. We'll see how it goes from there. This is 3rd Avenue. If you see my other video, people keep laughing that I don't like 3rd Avenue, and I really don't, for the reason that it's all buses. Almost all the buses in downtown go through 3rd. There's like this dog shit park I don't care for, and a whole bunch of criminal activities. Just like there's nothing for me here, so why bother with it? So I'm, as usually, bypassing it. People keep saying, oh, you're scared to go on 3rd. Well, the fact is, I don't like it. Like, there's nothing there for me. Why would I go there when it's gross and no attraction exists for me there? I'm at the point of my life where I don't find slums exciting or all that kind of. So I don't mind skipping something gross. Proceeding into Belltown, 2nd Avenue right here. And 2nd, I think, is where people hang out. I used to come out here all the time. There's a favorite sushi place I had when I lived near downtown called the Wasabi Bistro. I like that it has a great happy hour. Looks like some businesses went under. This was kind of a Seattle staple, the cantina. Bunch of people yelling. Yeah, this was a thriving corner before the lockdown, but at this point it's almost completely shuttered. Graffiti. This was another bar, I think. This for sure, the Lava Lounge was a hot spot for people going out to bars, drinking and singles and stuff like that. That's gone. So Belltown is kind of in a rough shape. Actually, they've shuttered a lot of it. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, these businesses were kind of vandalized, it looks like. And these are the effects of what happens when you shut the city down for so long. You know, some businesses simply call it quit. Others are harassed and vandalized and basically eventually leave. Yeah, Belltown, not so great at this point. Here are senior services and some immigrant services. So there's some amenities for people here, and yet when they come out, things are not the best. But right now it's in a good shape, actually, other than the businesses being gone. So I really look forward to the workers returning so that all these things can reopen and our city can be vibrant again for social life as well. That's one thing I don't know how it's going, because I haven't come to downtown in about 2 years, almost, more than just like 5-10 times or something, and we just hit a baby, so I'm not really into going out right now. I don't know how social life is in the city.
At least
This block is doing a lot better, not vandalized and vacant. I think these businesses are still functional. I like this whiskey bar a lot. I've been here a bunch. Here we're really right on the edge of the very center of downtown here, exiting Belltown at this point. Someone got the boot, getting towed. It's actually very clean compared to what it has been in the past. Especially 2020 was very nasty and rough around here. But at this point, it's very clean. As the weather warms up, it's also gonna get crowded. We just visited a farmer's market in the Ballard neighborhood, and there were at least 1,000 people at the farmer's market today on a sunny day on the weekend. And those people are out, you know. People are done being scared and so on. Life is returning to the city for sure. I want to point out something else that's happening in the city. Notice this space right here. This is a bike lane, and beyond the bike lane there's parking. So a whole lane converted to bikes, then parking. So they've removed 2 lanes from this road, and that's been the overall policy in Seattle, to remove lanes, not to expand traffic capacity, but actually to shrink it. And that's with the goal of discouraging people from driving. They want less traffic here, less pollution, less noise. They want people using the transit. It's not the easiest for people who live in the suburbs and the rest of the metropolis, but if you live in the center of the city, it's actually quite fine. And the light rail is expanding now all the way to Northgate and south beyond the airport, soon all the way to Tacoma, Federal Way, and so on. So from a lot of parts of the city, you can at this point actually get by without a car very well. One of my least favorite things about living in the USA is the loud ass sirens. It can easily be 3 times less loud and still get the job done. You see, that was all just sensory assault for no good reason, you know. All these drivers can hear it if it's half as loud. As they're in Europe, by the way, European sirens are much less loud. That's one thing we need to vote for. Turn down the sirens. Anyway, I am now in the core of downtown Seattle. You see traffic has picked up a little and more cars are parked around me. It's a little denser here. Big buildings are above me. Kind of not quite like Manhattan, but it just high-rise all around at this point. A few historic buildings remain, like this one right here on the left. And I really did prefer the way the ornate, you know, the buildings are ornate. While these new ones, it's just panels of glass and aluminum and absolutely no ornaments. And I don't like that. I think that we are losing. You see here, there are statues and patterns, and the windows are interesting, while everything here is so plain. There's absolutely nothing interesting about the new things they're building, and I don't like it. So while I criticize the new things they're building for being boring and not so aesthetically appealing, I much prefer that they are rebuilding the city instead of leaving it run down, because if you go to places like San Francisco or Portland or many other ones, I think New York and Philadelphia and others are actually aging, and many things just look dated and run down, and yet they're still so expensive that those cities are basically rotting. Well, one good reason to be in Seattle is that everything is being rebuilt and you live in a cleaner, newer environment. Now efforts are going into cleaning it up. You may dispute the fact that it's clean because there are parts that are still dirty, but it's much better than it was and much better than many other cities right now. This is one of the main streets in downtown Seattle. Right here it connects to, behind me, Pike Place Market. But first I want to loop in the central little park here, see what that's like these days. Here's the classic steaming American manhole. I don't know why they call it that. I don't like to call it that, but that's what it's called. Sewer cover, whatever you want to call it. All right, so here is Macy's and Columbia, which is a Northwestern brand. Sadly, it looks like Columbia quit, they're done, or they're shuttered. I think the store is dead. This was one of the nicer stores for outdoor gear in downtown. Here is 3rd Avenue. In my last video, I avoided this block because I don't like it. And people were like, oh, you're too scared. I'm not scared, you know, I'm here right now, but you see what I'm seeing, right? It's just not nice. And I would much prefer being somewhere nice. But right now I'm showing you things as they are, and you can see around me there's trash all over here. So as I was saying before, there is trash in Seattle. It's not completely clean, but it's much cleaner than it was, and it's much cleaner than other big cities in the USA right now. Very few cities are currently both coastal and densely urbanized and clean and economically thriving in the same time. Seattle is those things, you know, it is on the coast, it does have an amazing economy, and it is much cleaner than most of them are right now. So it's actually a good medium. The city did not collapse. Many people thought it was going to, many moved away, and we were thinking about it too. We totally wanted to get out of here when things went sour. We thought that was it, and things were so bad that it looked like it won't recover anytime soon, and that our property values are gonna go to hell. But none of that happened. Actually, everything kept pumping, and that impressed me a lot. I was pessimistic, but now I'm much more optimistic about it. This is kind of the central little square, or whatever you call it. It's called Westlake Plaza, I think. Westlake Park perhaps. And yeah, it's not bad these days. It used to be completely covered in homeless and all kinds of drugs and crime over here, but at this point it looks good. It's almost kind of festive, actually. This is a mall, and that mall, I'm seeing things are functioning still in it, but it's not quite thriving, and people are not coming here to shop very much. It looks a little deserted, a little vacant, the mall outside there. Nordstrom, though, doesn't care. They continue thriving, or doing okay at least. Over here they've made it ornate, a little less depressing than it has to be this way. I am now at Pike Place, where it looks quite busy. As I was walking through there, the drug addicts actually got pretty agitated and wanted to chase me away. So I need to watch my back here. So you see here is Pike Place. It's very crowded today. It's not dead as you may want to think, or it has been in the past 2 years. It's very, very crowded. Normally this is how it is. It did go very dead for a bit, but not for long.
Excuse me, come behind me. Yeah, we're here.
What's nice about Pike Place is that it's very close to the waterfront. It's kind of hanging right over it. As you see me go through here now, you see the sea is very, very close. And one thing I will talk about in a different video is how they're going to connect Pike Place to the waterfront soon. So here you see the sea from here, and the ferry coming up and whatnot. It's interesting, I'm seeing more and more people from this downtown ambassador program. I'm going to look that up and see what exactly they're accomplishing here. They seem pretty active today.
Cherry juice, that's the pink one. You have cherry, ganache, and cocoa powder. That's the truffle. That one's really good.
This looks like a food tour happening. See the crowd here, pretty wild. Nobody seems worried about a virus anymore. Well, that's some nice asparagus. Good price on asparagus here, $5. Better than my local market, which is like $8. That's crazy. I'm going to get out because it's really crowded, but you can see pretty thriving. Here's one of the pigs. There are at least 2 pigs I know about here. They're kind of like the symbols, especially the other one over there is the symbol of the market. One thing I want to point out, you see how traffic is coming right through? This should be banned. The city needs to ban traffic right here in Pike Place Market. It's a huge blunder that it's allowed. But it's been like that for years. People always complain, and it's never been banned to my knowledge. They really should be banning it. Right now, and people from out of town, they don't know it's a bad idea to come in, and they come right here and they get jammed, and there's nowhere to park. It's very tight. There are people walking all over the place. It's not a nice place to drive at all. Here is the main part of Pike Place, where people come watching the fish being tossed. It's kind of like a local little attraction. And here's the famous pig, the metal pig of Pike Place Market. And here's the famous fish stand where they toss the fish. I think they wait for someone to buy one. Yep, you see right here, he's getting ready to throw one. Teasing. That was a hard throw. Hard throw. This musician is always here selling CDs. So right here, the sign is the original Starbucks, and take a look at what the line looks like. Huge line of people on the left here. All these people are waiting to get into the original Starbucks. It keeps going and going. The coffee is the same as any Starbucks, by the way, but I guess it's famous chain, so they want to go to the very first shop and say they have done it. That's about all attractiveness there is to it, but people do it all the time. Over here is the end of Pike Place. There's a little park, and we can see what the park looks like, and probably call it good for this video. Oh, look, they have fenced off here for keeping the homeless and the drug addicts out.
I guess, but that sucks because we can't enjoy it.
Yeah, the view now cannot be enjoyed. So this has been happening a lot in Seattle, where the areas that got taken during the lockdowns and trashed, basically, they now have made off limit for everybody. So you see how where the best view would be, you give a fence instead. And some people are trying to enjoy themselves, but they're really staring at the fence. And they're eating the food they picked up from the market. That was today's walk through Seattle. A lot of things have improved. crime has not. I was basically attacked and the camera was off. But over there, not a good place. I was faster than the assailant, so they couldn't attack me, but they tried. They also tried to follow me and chase me for like 3 blocks. So there's still a lot of crime, but things are picking up. Some people have been going around saying, oh, Seattle's always got that edge or element to it of the grime and the crime and so on, but it's much worse than it has been. It's not really very honest when they say that. So it is picking up, it is cleaner, people are coming back. It looks like a busy metropolis again, but watch your back, there's still a lot of crime here. That's what I'm gonna say for this one. I'm driving back home and I'm thinking that one thing I don't think I mentioned during the walk is that Seattle has a new mayor. The mayor was making promises that he will clean up the city and sort out the crime, because there are many areas in the city right now where the cleanup is going all right and people are returning to downtown, but there's open criminal activity on certain corners and areas in town. And I don't know what the plan is for that, so that remains to be seen. But in the mayor race runoff, that was the big difference between the candidate, that one of them was for decriminalizing everything and letting crime just be normal, and the mayor that did win was the one that was saying he's going to stop the crime. So I would like to see what happens next, because I think there's still way too much crime, and the guy that did become mayor needs to live up to the promise.